Every conversation tells a story, and the best ones begin with honesty, courage, and a little curiosity. That's where Elsa Kurt comes in. She's an author, podcaster, and independent media personality, and this is where she brings real life to the table. Authors, thinkers, creators, leaders, everyday folks with extraordinary journeys. We sit down, we dig in, and we talk about what matters, what's messy, what's beautiful, and what just might inspire you to look at the world a little differently. So pour a cup of something good, settle back and join me. This is Elsa Kurt Interviews, where truth has a seat and everyone's welcome.
Well, hello everyone. As you can see, I have a returning guest. This is Trevor, and Trevor Wilson here is a second-time guest on the show. Everyone loved you so much, myself especially, that we needed to have you come back and give us a little update on what's new and what's going on and how things are going with the book and all that kind of stuff. So welcome back. How are you, Trevor?
Thank you, Elsa. It's very nice to be back and see you again.
Thank you. Thank you. I know that you were not doing too well recently, so I just wanted to say I'm so glad that you're feeling better. You had a little rough go of it there, huh?
Yeah, it's that's what we're here for, to survive. So
Yes.
and it's an impetus actually to keep going and do more things. So it's actually reinvigorated me. So I'm happy about that.
I love that. And you know, and that was one of the things that struck me so much from our first interview, your zest and your zeal for life and living. Like, just, you know, people, there are so many people in the world, I think they just exist. They get up, they do the things, you know, and then rinse and repeat basically. And they're just existing. They're not living. And you exude this sense of life and just grabbing it and taking hold of it and seeing it with, you know, really with like an artist's eye. And I admire that, and that resonates so much with me. And I think it really resonated a lot with a lot of our listeners and viewers. So it's inspiring. So thank you.
Music is a good example of something that indicates what I think, because I still gather music, even though my kind of music has gone out the door years and years and years ago. But I constantly find new things in different genres that is not particularly my favorites, but I try to understand modern music and different things, and I still keep collecting CDs. And so every afternoon for 2 hours, I put my headphones on and lay on the bed and I play music. And that keeps me aware of the world around me. And the fact that even though I not be in vogue, I can try to understand what is other people are listening to. And maybe that will give me some youth, you know, and maybe to grab it from them. So, but I love music. I love getting into anything I get into. I like to get it into in full. And,
yes, I love that.
It's like with ice cream. If I am told it's a particular flavor, if it's a hint of it, they might as well not give it to me, because I like the flavor that I want to experience that rush.
Yeah, I love that. So you mentioned listening to some modern music, today's music. Is there anything on your playlist recently that might surprise somebody that you listen to? Any particular artist that somebody might say, what?
Well, it's more, there are still out there people who play the same type of music, which to me is melodic, and the lyrics are very important. And there's still people out there making that kind of music. So, I find things like, years ago, there was a group called Rondo Veneziano that played classical music, but in a modern instruments, and it was a woman's band, and they played in 18th century costumes with powdered wigs, and unfortunately, they don't record anymore. But for 20 years, I collected all their music, and that's my background a lot of the time.
That's so cool. Well, I hope they see this. Somebody from that band sees this and says, maybe we should get back together, do some
Yeah.
work. Would that be cool?
Yeah.
So speaking of cool, that would be you. I'm referring to people really did respond really well to our last conversation, and you just clearly struck a chord with them. How has the response been for you since we last talked? Have you seen a reflection of that? What have the responses been from people you know,
Well,
maybe people you don't know?
I did well, first of all, everybody who saw the podcast was very, very impressed. And also the fact that I could speak for an hour with running out of things to say. And then also I've met people at book signing I had at Barnes and Noble. I think it was last week. And so people had seen the podcast. And to get the personal feedback from somebody, it's like when you and I are talking now, it's like, does it really go anywhere? You know, it's like validation that we actually did something. And to get positive feedback or even negative feedback, I think is wonderful. And of course, I'm not used to that. You get it all the time. You're very popular. It's just nice to know that I'm living and I'm out there, and I'm going to another book signing in Sacramento, I think, next month. And I really enjoyed that process of learning from people, learning about what your words did to them. That makes you feel very worthwhile, that you have a point of view and somebody can, obviously people are at different stages of their life and they haven't lived it yet. So I represent this kind of data bank of old memories, and it appears to resonate with people. And I find that very exciting.
Yeah, I love the multi-generational impact, you know, and it's to your point, it's like people who have shared experience, similar experiences to yours, there's that relatability. And then there's people who have never experienced these things, and maybe they're considerably younger and they're just starting their life's adventures. You know, that's inspiring to them. And then for people who are maybe within your same age bracket who have not done the things that you've done and have a lot of admiration, I hate to say envy, but admiration for what you've done. And maybe that's inspiring to them as well, that like, you're not too old, you're, you know, whatever it is that you think is defining you in this moment of your life, whether it's illness, whether it's fear, like whatever it is, you can actually use that for your own good and use it to spur you on. And I think you just talking about just moments ago, your recent illness, the fact that it didn't put you into a place of fear, but instead put you in this place of action, of like more determination to really grab a hold of everything that life has to offer, is just, it's just so mind-blowing to me that, you know, I hope so many people see this and are inspired by that. And what a treasure and what a gift to give to the world, to offer that kind of inspiration and remind people to live with purpose, you know?
Yeah, I think in a way I use that to inspire myself. I think there was a time a year ago when I was really retired before I wrote the book. And I was really laxing into a kind of a retirement mode and thinking, what can they do each day? Now, the book has made me realize that I don't have enough time to do anything. You know, I know friends of mine who are retired and say, I don't do anything every day, but I can't get it all done. You know, it's like they think they're doing nothing, but really doing a lot of things. And it's like my garden. I look out the window at it, and nobody else I know in this area of Tucson has gardens. I've got bougainvilleas, and I've got geraniums, and I've got other flowers all around everywhere.
Mhm.
They're all in pots, but I have a potted garden,
Oh,
and I like keeping that going. And watering in the morning is like it's like visiting friends, and I look at them and I water them, and they're, they perk up on that. So I'm keeping them going too, But I'm very pleased with my life,
mhm.
even after my illnesses. And surviving an illness, I think, makes you a victor over it. So
Oh,
therefore,
absolutely.
I know people have cancer and things and say, I won the battle over cancer. That's a really important thing to that person,
Mhm.
that they had a battle and they won.
Yeah.
So, and maybe they didn't know, like me, that it came back, but it's
Mhm.
like, okay, I ran round two, so we're still
Right,
going.
right. And that attitude just really, I think it impacts it positively, everything. They talk about that all the time, particularly with, illnesses like cancer, any type of physical health battle that you're challenged with, they talk about that attitude. And I know it sounds cliche, but it really is so true because I'm sure just like you, I'm sure you can say you've known people on both sides of that spectrum that people took it with a defeated mindset and attitude, and
Hmm.
people who took it with okay, this is a challenge for me to overcome
Yeah,
attitude, and the results, maybe the end result is the same, and I think that's probably like a hard thing for people to
yeah,
accept. The result may still be the same, you still may not win that battle, but it really does matter so much how you lived out that time that you had, right?
yeah. And I think the people that don't live life to the full are the
Mhm,
ones that don't get into the battle. That's part of living.
mhm,
Everybody knows that there are things that are poisonous, things that are bad for you. And if you do those things, then really you're defeating yourself. If you know the rules, you behave by them,
mhm.
and you test the limits sometimes, and that makes you stronger because you build up an immunity maybe. But that's the thing about life you can make. And when they talk about the American dream, and
Mhm,
particularly these days, you think, what's happened to that
mhm.
vision?
Right.
But it's still there, and it's up to you to overcome what really bugs you. It may be different things, but
Mhm,
you have control of yourself. And you have so many things given to you as a child that you can actually make advantage of those. And even if you have a disadvantage, you learn how to ameliorate that so that it isn't against you.
right.
It's kind of a neutral thing. So, but
Yeah.
living it, you learn everything every day, I think.
Absolutely. And then, you get afforded this opportunity in life, you specifically, to reflect on the journey thus far, which is by no means, at its end. I mean, you're still having adventures and new things and all of that. But the reflection part, which of course is all part is the book, really, the Where Have I Been
Mhm.
All My Life? It's such a great looking back on everything and seeing it through this, mature lens, a completely different lens than what you saw it as you experienced it.
Yeah.
Is there anything about your own story that you understand differently now after hearing how other people react to it?
Only that at the time I was living it, particularly in Algeria, when I had that experience of being sort of kidnapped by these terrorists, as I thought. Um, but I tend to think of it at the time because I know, I may have mentioned it before, but in that uh, room, in that hotel where I was, and I was fearing for my life, but I made a list of the things I'd done in my life and the things I hadn't done. And even at that, years and years ago, I felt like I had the plus side. I had had more
Mhm.
things happen than the things I wanted to do. People make bucket lists. I kind of make a bucket list when I was 5 years old, I think. So I've had a lot of time to empty it out. But that and reading that afterwards to say, yeah, it was a shocking moment, but I'm very resilient because I remember when I got off the plane in France, when I escaped that thing, and there was a rush of these Algerian immigrants into France. We had no papers, no nothing, and they all rushed to the checkout line, and I was at the back because I couldn't run that fast, and I actually walked past everybody because they're going to be here all day. So I walked up to the front and said, "Excuse me," and I stood in front of the line, and I went through, and I thought, that was pretty nasty to just insert yourself at the front of the line. But I thought that's the decision I made was based on my needs.
Sure.
And the others were going to take a long time anyway. So why not get me out of the way? So,
So throughout the book, for those of you just catching up with this, Trevor's book, it is just a sweeping journey through all of, maybe not all, but many, because there's probably so many more than you can even fit into one book. But some of the life adventures that you've been on in your travels and the experiences, and they're just all situations that most of us have never and probably will never find ourselves in, like the Algeria story. And there was one question that I had asked you, what your favorite, and I love this so much. There was one question I asked you, and it was about one of your favorite memories of one of your adventures, one of your trips. And, and honestly, I thought you were going to say something like, oh, I jumped off the cliffs of such and such, and I did this, this wild, exciting thing. And you talked about the most sweetest, beautiful story about this cow that you encountered. And, I was not the only one that loved that story. So many people love that. I think that video, so I do, as I put out clips from our interview and, just little segments of it. And that was one of the clips that I put out. And I think within like the first few days, that clip had like well over 5,000 views. Like the cow resonated with everyone. So, I mean, why do you think that struck people so much? It was just the most simple story of all of them, I think, right?
Well, I think, because really when it boils down to it, that represented the most, something that anybody could have. So maybe I said that to say to people, your special moment doesn't have to be something world-shattering or world-famous sight or anything like that or something. It was just the fact that really that's why I go back to that village so often. I'm sure the cow's not there anymore.
I like to think that it is. Let me believe it is.
But there are other cows that take its place, and I always look with them such admiration because of that one that braved its line to come up and just lick my leg. It's like very, very, I don't know. I guess I have a relationship with that cow, but I'm not ashamed of that. It's something very sentimental and but it's really it's the most precious experience of my life.
I think that's what resonates. I think that's what touches people's heart, especially you mentioned in the world we're living in right now, there's so much conflict and chaos and all of the negative yucky things, and then you get in the middle of all the chaos, you just get this moment of pure sweetness, and I really think that is probably part of what I and the people watching that and listening to it took a hold of and just kind of tucked in our heart, because it's just such a sweet, pure, good moment that, it's just like that little pause, when you take that breath and you just kind of say, okay, hang on a second, like lots of crazy stuff in the world, but there's so many beautiful moments that are happening
Yeah.
in life. And I think that was such a great reminder for all of us.
Yeah. I just want to go, I go to Starbucks in the morning every day. And I really enjoy the fact that, and partly it's because I'm old, but when I come, people open the door
Mm.
for me, and they're carrying, you know, 3 or 4 coffees and everything, but they still
Mhm.
open the door for me, and it's so delightful that there's still gentility in the world,
Yeah.
in
Hmm.
spite of all the harshness, in spite of the competition. People still have time to, like, I always open the door for a lady when I go anywhere. You know, that to
Hmm.
me is seared in my memory. That is something I forget because it's just a little thing, but it does
Hmm.
mean, and it brings a smile to the face of the person I'm doing it.
Hmm.
And that is what you get. If you get a smile from somebody, you've got a reward. And
Yes.
so,
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I love it. I love gentlemen. I love when that door gets open for me. Don't get me wrong, I'll certainly open the door for, I will open the door for anyone as well, but I do, as a female, I love those gentlemanly things,
mhm.
and it's so weird to consider that like a, old fashioned or old.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness,
yeah.
that's timeless. That is a timeless thing. Men, keep doing it, please. We do love it. So yes,
It's
do it.
like writing Christmas cards.
Yeah,
The more
yes.
and more people will send you a text or send a
Hmm.
group message or
Right.
something, that is gone, you know, and it's
Yeah.
so much what Christmas used to be about,
Hmm.
that you remember, time to remember friends that you still in your mind, even though they're not in your life.
Hmm.
And so my sister and I were discussing that the other day that, you know, and you got 2 cards this year, and it's like, you know, that's the way it is, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Now you just made me feel like I have to start doing that again. I've been bad. I feel bad. I
I'm
do,
not
but you're so
lecturing.
right
I'm not
though. No, no,
lecturing.
no. I know you're not. I'm teasing. I do. You're so right though, and I do every Christmas. I'm sure we all do, every holiday like that for us. For me, it's Christmas. You do get nostalgic for the old days, the old ways,
Mhm.
where everybody got together and it was just, nobody was sitting on the couches with their cell phones in their faces. You were
Yeah,
interacting and talking and maybe arguing, but still.
yeah.
Oh,
Communicating. Yeah.
yes, communicating. Oh,
Mhm.
I want to ask you, and I don't think I asked you this the last time. We talked about a lot about, what was in the book, of course, as would be natural. I'm a little curious if you could or would tell me if there was something that didn't make the book. Is there anything that you were, kind of like, oh, either, I don't know what it is, like if you didn't have room for it, if you just simply didn't want to share it for whatever
Yeah.
reason. Can you give
There,
us a
wa-
little?
there was a chapter that I wrote that
Mm,
actually, and I sent, but it didn't get through I guess the process was too far along.
mm,
But it was when I went to Albania off a cruise. And Albania is a very unusual country. But I wanted to, I was, when I think now about, yeah, I want something different in each story.
mhm,
And what would my story be when I went to Albania? And it was when I went to a national park, which was by a river, and it's quite picturesque, but really nothing commercial. And as I looked across the river, I saw this group of school children, and they were all lined up, and they were obviously coming to the park, which was on this side. And it wasn't a big river. I mean, it was more
mhm.
like a stream. And I've noticed that they were getting bigger, and it fascinated me. I was like, in my eyesight going, and it got bigger to the point that the road that they were on came across the river. They didn't have a ferry; they just had this piece of road on a rope,
Mm,
and it came across and they acted like it was nothing unusual. And they just got off at the other side and walked past into the thing. And I thought, that is absolutely incredible. How somebody could say, let's just send the road over. They didn't have to get off. They didn't have to do anything. They just actually came across the river. And that was it's just a silly little thing. But it's the kind of thing that I would include because nobody would believe that could happen. And that makes it a wonder of the world,
Yes.
So we're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got to ask you, well, first, let me just say that your life reads like a movie. Like I see your life in my head as a movie, and I'm just picturing it on the screen, which makes me think of the question I want to ask you, which is, who would play you? What actor would play you in a movie of your life?
These days, I don't know, probably.
Yeah, I guess we'd have to separate that, like young you and present day you. Who would play you?
Well, when I was young, people said like I looked like several people, and it was always somebody different. And I wondered why I would probably hairstyle, probably whatever. But anyway, in my life, I've been told I look like Clint Eastwood, Robert Redford, all these people. But I think it would be disingenuous to say I'd like somebody like that to represent me, but somebody happy looking, ordinary looking, but indicating they're a nice person. Probably that's in the eyes. So
if they could find somebody like a young Dick Van Dyke personality type, right?
Kind of
like
person,
I think he's probably one of the most charming humans to ever exist on the planet. I could see someone like him playing you. Yeah,
I think that'd be it's funny
with Robert Redford's looks.
When you think of somebody, I was in Norway once at a fjord in Stavanger, and there was the guide looked like Harrison Ford, according to one of the girls, and so I just suddenly said, "No, Harrison Fjord."
That was a good one. I like that.
So, but it seemed to fit the situation.
It was perfect. Oh, I love it. And I, again, just as I did last time, I encourage you guys to pick up this book. It's just so great. And if any, movie producers are paying attention here, hello, can we make this a movie, please? Come on now. And guys, and to the watchers and listeners, you need to, even if you're just listening and you're just hearing his voice, don't be afraid to chime in with who you think should play Trevor in a movie. So we need the present day Trevor actor, and we need, the adventures, the younger version. So throw them in the comments because we love it. That would be so fun. I'm so curious what everybody would say. It would be fun. I have one more question for you before I set you free for the day. What do you hope the next chapter of your life looks like, even if you don't know the details yet? Like, what do you envision for yourself?
I would like to think that I can do something for the have-nots. And I've recently been, a friend of mine who actually lives in the house, I recently had to put into a long care facility because he has Alzheimer's. And it's awakened my mind to this terrible disease that really cuts short somebody's life, really, because really when you have it, you're not really the person that somebody knew. And I think what I would like to do is maybe start a fund for raising money for Alzheimer's. Because that to me has hit home in a very personal way. And I just hate to say that. And the thing I remember when I was young, it didn't exist. Nobody
Mhm.
talked about
No.
Alzheimer's.
Right.
So we're obviously doing something or reading
Mhm.
something or our lifestyle that causes this now to happen. So I'd love to fund research to eradicate this from our lives because it's a
Mhm.
terrible, terrible thing to go
Yeah.
through.
Absolutely. You know, Trevor, as I've come to know you a bit over the past two interviews, I have to say that is exactly the type of response that I would have expected from you. Something so sweet and selfless and giving and purpose driven. So again, I can't say it enough to you and to our viewers and listeners. What an inspiring, uplifting, feel good life you've decided to share with us. So again, I thank you tremendously. You know that I will ask you to come back again because I just love talking to you, and the audience loves listening to you and watching you. So I hope you'll consider coming back again.
You would always be my favorite. Yes,
Aw.
you have eradicated all the tension that I feel about doing this.
Good.
And you have a way of making somebody just feel such at home.
It's gonna make me
It's
cry.
been a
That's so sweet.
pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. I've enjoyed it tremendously. I
Thank
want you all to go and buy the book. You can find it on Amazon. Trevor, can you give them your website again? Is it trevorwilson.com or no? I'm sorry.
TrevorJamesWilson.com.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I will put all of that in the links for you guys. You'll be able to go just click and go right to it. So please do. I thank you guys all for joining us, and we will see you in the next episode. So take care. Trevor, take care.
You've got a story worth sharing. Now it's time to tell it well. Whether you're an author, entrepreneur, influencer, or podcast guest, stepping in front of the camera or microphone can feel overwhelming. On the other side of the mic is your practical, encouraging guide to becoming a confident, authentic, and engaging interviewee. Written by media personality and best-selling author Elsa Kurt, this book blends real-world wisdom from hundreds of interviews with a touch of humor, grace, and heart. It's more than a how-to. It's a roadmap to presence, professionalism, and peace in every conversation.